aren't the droids we're looking for.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's them! Blast them!
Alright guys, well, when we recorded this, we released these Empire report cards the same day that the points dropped came out for the Empire. I should say a very unexpected but very welcome points drop that came out for the Empire. Now, the content that you're going to see in this video is all from the perspective of pre-points drop. I have released a new video that I have linked below in the description, updating my perspective of the rankings for these particular units. Colton was out of town this week when this stuff dropped, so you get me instead and my knee-jerk reactions because I have not played any of these things yet with the new points updates. But I wanted to talk about them in the context of the new upgrades that have been released that I think really help out Empire. This has been a really pro-Empire update. So make sure that if you want to see that updated stuff that you check the link below. And I think this video is still really helpful to watch because it talks about, Colton talks about the things, the heavy weapons and things like that, and some other unique upgrades to those units. So make sure you still watch this video because it's still got a lot of good stuff in it. You can see the updated stuff in the link below.
Hello everybody and welcome back to part 2 of our Empire Report Card Tactics Talk video. Today, I, Colton, will take you on a continuous adventure as we continue to walk forward into discussing our report card of one of the more beloved factions, but also maybe at the bottom of the barrel right now. Looking at Longshanks this morning, I was actually curious to see they're actually at a 44% win percentage, which for a game with only 5 armies, if you're willing to call Shadow Collective an army, is a bit rough, but I still do think there are competitive units. We talked about commanders and operatives. Once again, we're going to talk about those bounty hunters on a different date. But today we are going to cover core units and special forces, making up our part 2 of our report card. Make sure to go check out the first part if you want to see commanders and operatives for Empire. We're going to start right off, and we're going to start with Shore Troopers. Shore Troopers are a cult classic coming in at 52 points. They have Coordinate and Placement Trooper, Prepare Positions, 1 black in melee, and 1 black at range 1 to 3 with the long shot ability. They are speed 1 now, 1 health, and 1 courage apiece, coming in with 4 models. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the mortar as well before I talk about the heavy weapons. The mortar's detachment shore troopers, meaning you can only bring 1 per shore trooper unit that you bring. Has fire support, full pivot, prepare position, reposition, sentinel. 1 to 3 for a normal blaster gun or in melee. And then the mortar is 3 to 4, 3 white dice, critical 1, cumbersome, and suppressive. These things are 3 health a pop, 2 courage, red defense dice, and also speed 1 at 1 model. So just a mortar to go right along with the shore troopers. The shore troopers upgrades, you can bring Dell or Gideon. We won't talk too much about them because I don't think it's too relevant, but T21B shore trooper is the one unique upgrade for shore troopers on their heavy weapon slot, and it is 2 white, 2 black at range 1 to 4, critical 1 for a total of 32 points. For their personnel slots, they can bring a medical droid, Imperial Comms Tech, Imperial Officer, an R4 Astromech, a extra shore trooper as a unique upgrade, or a shore trooper squad at 70 points, which does give them Indomitable, and it gives you 5 whole shore trooper models. These guys used to be an absolute menace, and I'm going to kind of rank mortar plus shore trooper together, but also separate. Shore troopers used to be really, really good. I think now they're just kind of straight up bad. At 1 speed, that's a really rough thing to have for 1 courage units because as soon as you get a suppression on them, you greatly limit their mobility. Yes, they do have prepare positions to get them up the table a lot quicker, but giving up their position for that is just a really rough asking point. Losing target is what sucks the most because long shot is going to be very hard to pull off without 2 actions, meaning that you're also not moving. It's going to be a lot of aim, extend my shot for 4 extra black dice and shooting. And at that point, if you have a T21B, might just be better to re-roll 2 dice on it to try to get that critical 1 or just some more hits. So it just feels really bad. Straight up just feels bad. I do not like these guys anymore. I think that prepare positions is a bit of a trap keyword unless you go all in on it And if you're going all in on Shore Troopers, I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Mortar's kind of the same thing. Now that you don't get guaranteed cover, it's just rough. The game's also getting more and more in the middle of the board, jammed up. Things are coming at you 24/7. So the Mortar kind of suffers with that range 3 to 4. That's a pretty big sweet spot. And as soon as someone gets closer than that, you can't even shoot them anymore. And so that really does suck for the Mortar. It makes it really hard to use. So I'm going to give the Mortar a straight up D, and then I'm going to give Shore Troopers a D+. I don't think either of these units are a very good core option for Empire, and I think there's a reason you've all but seen them disappear from the faction compared to being almost the first core unit that people were worried about. But they've taken a big fall off. That T-21B is still really good. It's just the unit doesn't have any special keywords to keep it alive and keep that 32 heavy safe from your opponents shooting back. Next up, Snowtroopers. Snowtroopers just straight up have steady. They throw 1 white dice at melee and 1 white dice at range 1 to 3, 1 health, 1 courage, surge to hit, and are speed 1. They are 4 models apiece, and they come in at 42 points. With this being said, Snowtroopers are decent. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I don't think there's anything bad. They are not necessarily the end-all be-all of a core unit. You can do cool things like come out of cover, shoot, go right back in it with steady. You can just double move and shoot, but they kind of have the same issue as Shore Troopers when it comes to the problem of courage. If you ever shoot them and they can only get 1 action, they can be really rough to get onto objectives and score points, or if they're holding tokens for any reason, it can be rough as well. Looking at their heavies real quick, they have 2 specific to them. They have the Ion Snowtrooper, which is for 24 points at range 1 to 3, critical 1, impact 1, Ion 1, 1 white, 2 black. And then the Flamethrower is 20 points, has blast and spray at melee to range 1 for 1 black dice per model, essentially. This being said, I think both upgrades are pretty solid. The Flame Trooper can really help you clean up weaker, easier to kill targets or just high model variances that you may see in some of your games. Throwing one in your list is never going to be a bad idea. Ion Snowtroopers are a bit of a counterplay in terms of what we're seeing in the meta. Lots of vehicles, lots of armor, just negating a lot of those plink damage shots, while Ion 1 can help you reverse that side effect. So Snowtroopers, not bad. I think both their heavy weapons are perfectly fine, but they're just kind of my emphasis of Empire of being a bread and butter unit. I mean, if you look at their keywords compared to other units, it's literally just steady. And I think that's where Empire is starting to fall behind as a faction, is they just aren't getting keyword updates. And because of that, they're just getting outclassed by other units that just simply have more stuff on their card. And so because of this, I think Snowtroopers are going to just be a solid C. I don't want to call them anything lower because I think they are the definition of a average unit. You're not succeeding, you're making a passing grade, no one's going to make fun of you. If you bring Snowtroopers, feel free to run as many as you want. Right up next, I'm going to talk about Stormtroopers because I have a very similar explanation for them. They have precise 1 white dice in melee now. They have 1 white dice apiece at 4 models at range 1 to 3. They have 1 health apiece, 1 courage. They do surge to hit as well on red defense dice, no surging. Speed 2 on these bad boys. I would almost say that Stormtroopers are better, but a spoiler alert, I'm also going to give them a C. I don't think that they get above that for me. They are my preferred core option for Empire, as I've been playing a lot of Empire for some reason this edition. But I think the main thing is they just get more options in their heavy weapons, so let's go through these real quick. DLT at 20 points, impact 1, 2 red dice at range 1 to 4. You can take Gideon and Del as well. HH12 is cumbersome, impact 3 with 3 black dice. It is range 2 to 4. The RT97C is range 1 to 4 at 22 points, 1 red, 3 white, and T21 is critical 2, 4 white dice at range 1 to 3, 20 points as well. I think the DLT is fine. I think the T21's fine. Even the RT97 if you really want to. I think that DLT is nice because you can move on to the table turn 1, plink damage your opponent, maybe even use the impact to hurt some vehicles. It's just a good all-around weapon and it's fairly cheap. So I think it kind of is a better heavy weapon option than what the Snows have, but you also have these other ones as well. The T21B is cool if you're trying to look for crits or you have lots of aims in your list, making use of that precise keyword that is on the Stormtroopers. But once again, they get a C because I just think they're the most average unit in the game. They have nothing going on their card, nothing special. And because of that, I really can't rank them higher. And honestly, losing the black dice in Melee doesn't seem to be that big of a deal to some people, but the game can get really Melee heavy really fast. And so losing that when you get tied up with Melee units, even as something as silly as Ewoks or a single model left and you're throwing white dice, that can feel really bad when you don't get a couple hits in to maybe finish off a single model or someone that tied up your full Stormtrooper unit. So not a huge fan of what they have going on. Their specific personnel slot upgrades would be the Stormtrooper Captain, the Stormtrooper, the Stormtrooper Specialist, and Stormtrooper Squad at 46 points for the Stormtrooper Squad, 9 for the Specialist, 10 for the Captain, and 8 for the normal Stormtrooper. The Specialist is essentially an aim or a surge. The Captain essentially lets you ignore suppression for a turn. Normal Stormtrooper, and Stormtrooper Squad is 5 extra minis and Indomitable. So I don't think any of these upgrades really knock them up to the next level either. They are cheap though. I actually really like doing things like running 6 squads of Stormtroopers with T21s or DLTs and just giving all of them a specialist. I've done that with Op Vader, just a pure, simple, stupid, fun list with a bunch of dewbacks, and it's perfectly fine. But I think that Stormtroopers are like the definition of average. They're just C. Congratulations, you're not failing the class, but at the same time, you're not going to blow anyone away with what you do on the table. Moving right along, I'm here to help everyone out. We have Stormtrooper Riot Squads. At 4 models, they have Charge, Hold the Line, 1 black dice in Melee, and Suppressive. And at range 1 to 3, they throw 1 white. They have 1 health and 1 courage apiece, speed 2, red defense dice, no surging either way. Hold the Line does let them surge in Melee when they are in Melee. They've got some upgrades, and let's just go right into it. They can do Del and Gideon as well. The KX series security droids, essentially the K2 models, you can add 2 of them for 30 points, and they throw 1 red apiece in Melee with Impact 1, or you can do the best upgrade in the game, Stormtrooper Marksman. If it's not engaged, you can essentially roll a red attack dice. If it's a crit or a surge, a unit just auto takes a wound and a suppression, and you use that as an action. I'm being extremely satire, by the way. It is the worst upgrade in the game and probably just straight up should not exist. The KX series droids, I just haven't seen them, so I don't even know, but like, that's a really expensive upgrades. It's a brand new unit, and this is leading to the grade. It's a brand new unit and I never see it. And it's not because it's just bad. It's really bad. There's no reason to bring this guy. It's not even fun to play. Jared has played it against me once in a stream, and it was just, he did everything to make it a great unit, supported it, gave it all the synergy it could possibly have, and it just died. It was just miserably terrible. It died against sleepers in Melee. It was just, it's just a really bad unit. It's a bad designed unit too. The Marksman makes 0 sense on a Melee unit. They have no Melee immune pierce, so a Force user, let's say you did bring the K2 SO droids, put them on this squad, make it 80 points. If I bring Darth Vader, I'm just one-shotting the squad every time, and that's just rough for a Melee core unit. They're just really bad. They're not cost efficient. Their shooting sucks. Honestly, their Melee sucks, which is kind of just humorous at this point. Their upgrades suck. I'm just gonna let you know, they're my first F. I'm giving them an F. I won't give them an F-, but I am going to give them an F. I think these guys are horrendous. They do not do their role well at all. They do not help any other unit in the game, and they most certainly are not cost efficient. So I think all 3 of our categories are just dismissed in this regard. And now we're moving into Special Forces and away from core units. Our first up is Imperial Death Troopers, coming in at 72 points with Discipline 1, Precise 2, Ready 1, Red Dice and Melee, 1 apiece. 1 to 2, you can use 2 white dice. At range 1 to 3, you can use 1 black dice. 1 health, 2 courage, search to hit and defend on red defense dice, 4 models, speed 2. These guys are pretty cool. They look super aesthetic on the table. They get a free upgrade called the E11D, which they can essentially configure their guns and exhaust them to shoot at range 4 with suppressive, or they can shoot at range 1 to 2 with blast. The gun itself has reconfigured, so you can flop that over. Their 2 heavy weapons upgrade is they can either do a DLT for 2 red, 1 white at range 1 to 4, impact 1 at 30 points, or the DT F16 is a 2 health model at 15 points, and at range 1 to 3 you can throw a black and a white, and also gains compel as the unit leader. Pretty cool. Death Troopers, I think, are something I see a lot of and have played a lot of, but when you roll bad, it's just one of those units that just feels really awful. If you just bring the DLT, it's 102 points for this unit, and you've only got 5 models, so as soon as you take attrition, you start feeling the weight and the impact of getting shot back. So those red defense dice can be pretty... it can kind of feel like a lie. Like, I lose a model, my Death Troopers don't feel like they're this elite unit. I lose 2 models, they feel even worse, and by the time I've lost my heavy, they're pretty much useless. So they're definitely not bad, but anything with Pierce is just brutal on these guys. I mean, you can really feel the weight of a sniper, which thankfully there's not a ton of that, but any type of range 2 combat is rough for these dudes. But they do work and synergize well with things like Krennic. I think they're totally fine, but I don't think they're anything amazing, so I give them a C+. I think they're slightly above average. They can do things on the table. That range 1 to 2 attack is nice to have built in. If you just have a bunch of aims with precise 2, you can really pour onto them. You can do cool things too, like making them a standby unit where you give them Overwatch and just standby, get an aim, shoot, but standbys kind of suck now, so they've lost value in that as well. Next up, we have Imperial Special Forces. They have Infiltrate, Marksman, Reliable 1. At 4 models, they've got 1 black apiece in melee and 1 black apiece at range 1 to 3 with their E11 blaster. 1 health, 2 courage. They surge to hit, do not surge to defend. They're speed 2, and they've got a couple of different upgrades. They can take Del and Gideon, but their real upgrade is the T21 Trooper, and it is critical 2 at 27 points, range 1 to 3, 4 white dice. So the basic normal ISF unit is going to be 95 points, and that's cheaper than our Death Troopers, and I think these guys have a little more flexibility, but they use aims less efficiently. I hope that makes sense. They have more flexibility overall because you can put them on the table pretty early. Reliable 1 still gives them enough staying power that your red dice will at least be better for 1 roll maybe. But they kind of have the same issue as Death Troopers. Any type of Pierce is going to tear these guys apart. Honestly, 4 black and 4 white is a kind of a rough dice pool unless you have bunches of aims. So them and the Death Troopers suffer a lot of the same fates. But these guys are a little more flexible objective-wise, but a little less just stand in the middle of the board and get shot at like Death Troopers. But I'd say that Imperial Special Forces are actually sneaky good at fighting against things like armor because of the marksman keyword. If you play like Iden's 3-pip, you can really sneak in a bunch of hits on something with armor. So honestly, I'm just going to give these guys a C+ as well. I don't think they're bad by any means, but compared to some of the other special forces in the game, they absolutely are not on the same level as some of the other things going on. And any type of Pierce just makes the dice value of these guys go way down way too quick. As Imperial Special Forces, we do have the Inferno Squad variant at 98 points. You auto-equip Gideon and Del. Just to reiterate, Del is Courage 1, Coordinate Core Trooper. He's 2 wounds, and he has 2 red dice. And then Del is High Velocity Lethal 1 at range 1 to 5 with 2 black dice. He gets Repair 2, Capacity 1 at 2 wounds as well. And then Cousin Inferno is 2 wounds. They have Retinue Iden Versio. The normal person also throws 2 black at range instead of just 1. They search to hit as well, so they can get an aim or dodge at range 1 to 2 of Iden. Really, the only time you're going to bring these guys is with Iden. I guess you could bring them without Iden if you really wanted to, but I don't know. Regardless, though, I think they're solid, and I think just because they seem like a, slightly more expensive, but I do think better version of the ISF squad. I'm gonna give them a B-, and that honestly might be high. I probably should keep them at a C+, just like the other ones, but I think because Iden's so good and their synergy is good between the two, and you can throw things in there like IG-88 and repair that with Dell, they have a lot more potential to do cool things. You can even use Gideon's coordinate to get more maybe fire supports and stuff on things like mortars. So there's just a little more opportunity for unique gameplay experiences and your big brain on the table to be showcased. Last but not least, we have Scout Troopers, and Scout Troopers coming in a smooth 48 points. They have low profile, Scout 3, Sharpshooter 1, 1 black in melee, 2 black at range 1 to 2. They have 4 models, 1 health a pop, 2 courage. They have white defense dice, surge to defend, and are speed 2. I'll leave out the sniper for now. You can bring the DLT-19 Sniper for 38 points at range 1 to 5. You get high velocity Pierce 1 with 2 black dice, or you can do the Saboteur at melee to range 1. You get 1 red, 1 white, 2 black, blast, impact 2, suppressive for 23 points. Honestly, this is one of those units I wish I saw on the table more because they're pretty brutal. The first place that I really saw them in this edition was seeing someone play a Imperial Remnant list and putting T-21Bs on them with a bunch of Dart Troopers, and they're just stupid cheap. They're not good, but they're good enough in the sense that you can use those cheaper points to express yourself. You can really upside their value at 48 points to surprise and utilize tactics that just come in a variety of ways to outperform your opponent. Okay, and I mean, I think with Scout Troopers, most importantly, you can just really trade up on that value. However, I just don't think they have the staying power with white defense dice and low profile to just take hits at range 2. This does feel like a range 2 game right now. And this is one of those units that's gonna move up, shoot something, and probably just die afterwards. So because of that, putting heavy weapons on them feels really bad. I do think with the Saboteur, you can really mess somebody up with 4 extra dice and all of the keywords it has, but it's not really amazing. So Scout Troopers, in my opinion, are also going to just get a C+. I was really tempted to move them in the B- category, but they just, so if they lose any models, it feels bad. Once they get into range 2 and finally do shoot something, the things that are probably looking them back in the eyes are just gonna one-shot them. But at 48 points, I do think it gives them high potential, and I think this is one of those that you guys can definitely debate with a lot and say, no, they deserve a higher rating. But I gotta keep them at a C+. I just haven't seen it in a way that has been utilized where they're just terrifying units. Then we have their counterpart, the Strike Team, and you can either bring that DLT Sniper or Sonic Saboteur and make them the good old-fashioned leader. It is only 2 models, but they do have all the same keywords: low profile, Scout 3, Sharpshooter 1. The other guy also throws 1 to 2 at range 1 to 2, 2 black dice, and it's just 2 models. This being said, they do have detachment Scout Trooper now, so you have to bring a normal Scout Trooper to bring these guys. They're good, but they're only good for a round or 2, and if they're ever shot, I mean, we're talking about a unit that's gate kept behind 48 points, and then the Strike Team itself with the Sniper's 58. That's more than the generic unit. So these guys are not cheap, and I really don't think they're cost efficient anymore. And the fact that there's maybe no guaranteed cover, I mean, I'm sure low profile can give you 1. You can just kill these guys and get yourself a free 58 points. So I don't like Strike Teams at all in this current version of the game, and I don't like that they're locked behind a paywall essentially before you can actually use them. And so because of that, unfortunately, I'm actually gonna give Strike Teams a D-. I can definitely see some play with the snipers. I am the biggest adamant of using Strike Teams with snipers. It was my favorite thing in every faction last edition, but I can't validate them at all. They do not do enough damage to be 58 points even though that sounds cheap. You got to remember you're paying 48 before that to even get to that point. So guys, that is our core and our special forces done. Let me know what you think. Once again, none of this is set in stone. I'm giving those that do not have a clue a foundation, and those that do know a talking point in which to discuss some of their favorite or least favorite units that they feel. I know Empire's in a rough spot, so tell me what you guys think they need to change to up that win percentage and make Empire great again. As always, good luck, have fun, see you next time.